This issue's pervasive, and
Well, my next question: what about trads? What about trash? Because
we
a lot of people, I mean, people who watch my podcast, they hear me say, go the traditional Latin Mass, pray the rosary. And
I
I think
did.
there's a temptation for people to be like, if I eject out of the diocesan Novus Ordo world into traddy land, I am removing myself from all the problems of the church, and none of the priests are like this. And I've been attending the Latin Mass for 10 years, and
Twenty.
and you 20, and you and I both know that this is not true. In
No.
fact, I think that men who are actively homosexual can hide and disguise themselves more effectively because everyone, oh father, oh he wears a beretta, oh he Latin mass, look at all that lace, and I think people kind of give, and I know a priest, or I knew a priest who was like this, who used tradition in TLM as a cloak for his alternative lifestyle. So,
Yeah. My life's always been high drama. So I told you, like in '99, I converted, and then I was having a difficult time in the Bay Area in the Catholic Church. I mean, finding spiritual direction. And I read the Catechism. I read the 3 paragraphs dealing with homosexuality. I kind of knew. And so right away, I got involved with the traditional Latin Mass movement, and I met the Fraternity of St. Peter. I met the SSPX, and back then it was more underground. It was more catacomb church.
mhm.
So and I have to say I met good priests. And I didn't really have the suspicion of anything. Then I got involved with the TLM group back in Pennsylvania, in the Diocese of Scranton, and at that time the FSSP was there. That was kind of like the happening place, no matter how you feel about Bishop Timlin.
Mhm.
That was kind of the happening place in the TLM world. Well, the
What year?
FSSP,
What year is this?
that was '99,
Mhm.
but in 2000 the FSSP moved to Nebraska with their seminary, but they still had the boys' school there at the time. And then the group that I got involved with, which were ex SSPX priests,
Mhm.
I went back there to work with them, and I don't know how else to say it. They were predators.
Yeah.
So, and
So they had left they had either left or been kicked out of the SSPX, and did they join through the fraternity or they joined through a diocese? What was their angle? I remember the story kind of
well,
vaguely.
see, this is why where the traddy world is kind of weird and incestuous
Yeah.
sometimes, is that they had left the SSPX. They were looking for a bishop. They found Bishop Timlin. Bishop Timlin took them into the diocese and coordinated them into the diocese. Not immediately,
Hmm.
but in the meantime, I think they kind of needed I don't know, he needed something to give them to do. So they were assigned as chaplains at the FSSP school there in boys' school in Scranton. I know, what a hot mess. Um,
Yeah.
and at that time, they were moving to their own property, and that's when I came out
Hmm.
to work with them, and that was a bad experience.
It
That
sounds
was
like a bad
that
experience
was super bad, because I don't want to get into it too much,
because
but
bad stuff was happening at the boys' schools. What I remember reading.
yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know about that, but I saw stuff going on at their headquarters there. And I went to one of the priests who was my spiritual director. Unbeknownst to me, he was one of the abusers. I didn't know this.
Mm.
I had suspected the other priests. So I was telling this priest about what I suspected, and
And he
then
was in
people,
on it.
well, yeah, and people throw out that word gaslighting, but you don't really know what it's like
Right.
until it's happening. So he started gaslighting me, and he knew my background. He knew that I
Mm.
was, so he was saying, "Oh, Joe, you're like projecting. You're seeing all this
Wicked.
stuff that's going on, and it's not really happening. This is all in your head." And I
Mm.
totally
That's
believe
gaslighting to the max.
that is, and I totally believed him. So
Well, let,
for like a year, I was completely torn up because I kept seeing this stuff, and I was like, Joe, you are going completely nuts.
yeah.
You're like thinking that these priests are doing bad things, because it happened to you. And the priest kept telling me this over and over again. And I tell you, I was ready for the funny farm.
Yeah.
And then finally, I just something broke in me, and I left, and I got out, and I called the bishop, and that was a bad experience.
Yeah.
And and then I was soured on the TLM world for a long time because I just kind of thought, man, all this stuff was going on, the fraternity, the Pius X, and I was like, man, this is messed up.
Yeah.
And I just kept thinking, you know what? The pervasiveness of this problem in the Catholic Church has left no corner untouched. It's sad to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it's
But
not to denigrate.
people need to hear that. They need to know that just because, I mean, all of our problems began with priests that were saying the TLM. 1964. Everybody's
Yeah.
saying a TLM. So it's not the silver bullet that gets rid of everything. I want to say one thing, because a lot of people watch this, and I don't want to say anything incorrect or cast a negative light. But I said I think it was happening at the boys' school. Maybe I was wrong on that. I don't want to say that. I don't want people to take that
No,
away.
no, no. I
I
think
thought it was that these bad priests were grooming guys at the school, but I might have
I,
that wrong.
no, no, no. I don't think you do. I think you're correct.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It was a pretty deep. It was yeah. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, because
But
if I remember reading it correctly, there were parents of some of the boys who then got involved, and then the accusations
yeah.
started flying, and then I think then the bishop got involved, and it got shut down. I mean, I'm kind of going off memory of
Well,
things I've read years
it's
ago.
sad in these cases. The rubber didn't hit the road until the survivor, the victim, sued.
Hmm.
And that's, I mean, those priests were still in that diocese. I think for most part, the bishop stood with them. And then, of course, when it becomes a legal matter that involves money, and then everything changes. And I mean, I still love the traditional Latin Mass, and I love the priests that offer it. And I think in general, they're quite good. I don't think the rot has been as deeply institutionalized as it is in some religious orders because they're just not as old. And but there's got to be a lot of oversight. The thing that makes me hopeful with the TLM world is there's the involvement of lay men and fathers at mass and very much involved. And studies have been shown where you have an involved dad, an involved father who's there in a two parent family, boys are much less likely to be sexually abused. So I just that's my hope. I just think it's much less possible in that environment. And not
Not
completely impossible.
impossible, right?
No, because it's happened.
Yeah.
But men, Catholic laymen, you got to keep these priests accountable. That's the thing. The bishops aren't going to do it.
That's right.